Well, a new trade alliance between three of the most important regions in the world has just formed, and it has the potential to change everything we know about the future of our global economy. In Kuala Lumpur, leaders from over 20 nations gathered for the first ever trilateral summit between ASEAN, China, and the Gulf Cooperation Council. And if you thought BRICS was a big deal, wait until you hear these numbers. The new alliance represents a combined GDP of nearly $25 trillion and a population of over 2 billion people. Most importantly, this new alliance represents 55% of world GDP growth, giving it substantial leverage in the future of our world economy. ASEAN, a powerful bloc of 10 Southeast Asian nations, already has a trade relationship with China that is 54% larger than US-China trade. And most importantly, it is growing at over 7% this year. Yet despite all of these facts, there was not a single mention of this event on the front pages of CNN, the BBC, or the New York Times. Why? Because this summit could mark the beginning of a global power shift, one where the West no longer calls the shots and China begins building a new world order with the global South. So in today's video, we're going to be breaking down exactly what happened at the ASEAN-China GCC summit and why it may go down as one of the most important geopolitical events of this decade. Let's dive in. Everyone, let's face it, the world is going through a period of massive uncertainty, and at the center of it all is the United States, driven by the aggressive policies of President Trump, who seems to be attacking every country on earth under the banner of making America great again. So far, we've seen plenty of disruption, but very few concrete wins for Trump in his global tariff war. Take a look at this graph. It's been 47 days since Trump launched his Liberation Day tariffs, and the number of legally binding trade agreements signed by Trump remains at zero. Trump isn't making America great again. Instead, he is uniting other regions of the world. And this new trilateral alliance between ASEAN, China, and the Gulf states will cover everything from free trade agreements and de-dollarization to the expansion of China's Belt and Road Initiative. No surprise here, but China is at the center of this new trade alliance, and China's premier, Li Qiang, sent a direct message to Washington. It's time to move beyond the Western-dominated trade system and build one that works for the global South. And trust me, this isn't just talk. The summit concluded with all of the nations standing together in support and issuing a joint statement agreeing to 5 new pillars of cooperation. Number 1, stronger trade ties. This new alliance will bolster economic integration through free trade deals, resilient supply chains, and digital economic growth. Number 2, infrastructure and connectivity. The regions will expand Belt and Road projects, maritime trade routes, and sustainable transportation across regions. Number 3, energy cooperation. They will collaborate on clean energy and nuclear tech and support climate change actions to support a just energy transition. Number 4, tech and innovation. They will build partnerships in AI, fintech, smart cities, and boost digital skills to future-proof their economies. And number 5, cultural exchange. They will promote tourism, education, and people-to-people ties through student exchanges and cultural initiatives. This is a stark contrast to Donald Trump's plan for America, where he is literally revoking the visas of international students as I make this video. But what's forming on the other side of the planet isn't just a partnership, it's the blueprint for a new global trade architecture built by and for the global South. But let's talk about the real catalyst behind this new alliance. And that, of course, is Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs. When Trump launched his so-called Liberation Day tariffs, he wasn't just targeting China. He also hit 6 of the 10 ASEAN nations, including key US trade partners like Vietnam, Malaysia, and Thailand. Trump wants Americans to believe that he's protecting US jobs. But let's be real. These jobs aren't coming back to the US. Instead, the only real result has been a diplomatic and economic backlash that's pushing countries closer to China. Far from isolating Beijing, these tariffs are accelerating exactly what Washington fears most: the rise of an alternative global economy. In response, ASEAN leaders have doubled down on regional integration, releasing a bold 5-year strategy to position themselves as the world's 4th largest economy by 2045. And with China as their largest trading partner and the GCC providing investment and energy security, that goal is starting to look very realistic. The GCC, made up of the oil-rich nations of Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Oman, has traditionally been aligned with the United States. But that's changing fast. These nations are now diversifying their partnerships and plan to increase bilateral trade with ASEAN from 130 billion in 2023 to 180 billion by 2032. Their investments are targeting critical sectors like artificial intelligence, green technology, digital finance, and infrastructure, the very industries where China is already leading the world. So while America is busy building tariff walls, Asia and the Middle East are building bridges and laying the foundation for the new multipolar world that we now live in. Now, one of the most unexpected and powerful moments of the summit came from Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim-majority nation and longtime U.S. military ally. Indonesia's newly elected president, Prabowo Subianto, delivered a speech that would have been unthinkable just a decade ago. Standing shoulder to shoulder with China's premier, Li Qiang, he praised China's unwavering opposition to imperialism, colonialism, and apartheid, and he didn't stop there. Prabowo also applauded China's support for Palestine, calling it a point of pride for all of us. And that line sent a clear message, not just to the Muslim world, but also to Washington. The US can no longer rely on religion or culture to divide China from the rest of the global south. Western media has long pushed the Xinjiang narrative as a wedge between China and Muslim nations. But what we're seeing from this trilateral summit is the exact opposite. From Indonesia to the Gulf, China is increasingly viewed as a moral counterweight to Western hypocrisy and a stable country that defends sovereignty, challenges imperialism, and most importantly, refuses to bow down to US pressure. But here's where things get very interesting. For years, critics in the West have pointed to the South China Sea as proof of China's aggression. But what's actually happening on the ground tells a very different story. In his speech, the Indonesian president called China a decisive partner in helping finalize the long-delayed Code of Conduct, a framework designed to reduce tensions and prevent conflict in the region. He emphasized that Indonesia and China share responsibility to ensure peace and prosperity across Asia. And once again, aside from the Philippines, most Southeast Asian nations no longer see China as the problem. In fact, they see China as the solution. It's a reality that you'll never hear in Western media. And that's really the point here. Our world is changing fast, and most people aren't being told the full story. While the US is caught up in tariffs, TikTok bans, and political chaos, new alliances are quietly reshaping the global order. BRICS and the ASEAN-China GCC alliance and the rise of our new multipolar world are all showing us that power is shifting. The US dollar is being challenged, and new trade routes are forming. And most importantly, the future will not look like the past. And when you zoom out and look at what all of this means, not just geopolitically, but economically, there's one simple truth. We are entering an era of instability. And that's why personally, I made it a priority to protect my investments. And in uncertain times, I don't chase hype. I look for stability. And that's why I've been a huge believer in gold, because no matter what chaos hits the headlines, gold has always held its value. Now, gold has been on an absolute tear lately, rising over 35% in the past 12 months alone. And central banks around the world are buying it like never before, with even the Polish central bank buying 90 tons of gold last year alone. And yet, despite all this momentum, many junior gold stocks, the early stage companies sitting on potentially massive deposits, have barely moved. And this disconnect is where the real opportunity in the market lies. Now, today's video sponsor is AXCP Ventures, trading on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol AXCP, and on the OTC markets in the US under the symbol GARLF. But here is where things get very interesting. AXCP isn't your typical mining company. They don't run the operations. In fact, they do something much smarter. They invest strategically in undervalued gold assets, acquiring projects at rock bottom prices when the market isn't paying attention. Right now, AXCP's average cost per ounce of gold in the ground is just $4.38. To put that into perspective, comparable developers are trading anywhere between $49 to $86 per ounce. That's over a 10x difference. So if the market even begins to revalue these kinds of assets, AXCP is positioned to benefit in a major way. Now, I personally love this company because their flagship investment is located directly in the state of Nevada, which is where I currently reside full-time. The Converse Gold Project is the company's flagship investment, located in one of the most prolific gold regions in the entire world. And this investment stands out as it has over 5.5 million ounces of measured and indicated gold, another 420,000 ounces of inferred. It's 100% owned by AXCP through its investment structure, and it's still largely under the radar. outside of major ownership. Now, when AXCP got involved with Converse, gold was valued around $2,000 an ounce, and the US government wasn't exactly friendly to mining. But fast forward to today, and gold is now over $3,200 an ounce, and we have a pro-gold, pro-mining administration that could unlock enormous value in the sector. In fact, what was once considered a mid-tier asset by institutional investors is now being reevaluated as a top-tier priority. AXCP saw this coming, and they got in early. Now, the key to success in the mining sector is a rock-solid team, and the management team behind AXCP has raised over $1 billion in prior ventures and knows how to execute in volatile markets. Their approach is simple and time-tested. Number one, identify deeply undervalued assets. Number two, improve them through investment, structure, and visibility. And finally, number three, monetize through spinouts, mergers and acquisitions, or partnerships. Now, AXCP is not just betting on gold. The company is creating leverage on the gold bull market through smart entry points and strategic timing. Even JP Morgan recently said that if just 0.5% of global capital shifted into gold, we could see prices surge to over $6,000 an ounce. Now, that might sound extreme, but it shows how much potential upside there is if this sentiment swings back to this sector. AXCP Ventures offers a rare opportunity, big upside potential backed by real assets. The company has nearly 8 million ounces of gold exposure. But take a look at this chart. AXCP is the cheapest gold developer on the market by a long shot. It would need to increase by 150% just to catch up to the second worst valued peer. Now, if you're looking to hedge your portfolio and are bullish like me on the gold industry, please do your own due diligence and research AXCP Ventures. I'll include a link to their website and investor presentation down below to help you do that. But if you believe in gold, AXCP might be the best stock to watch in 2025. Everyone, as always, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me here today on YouTube, and make sure that you drop us a comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video, and I look forward to seeing you all in our next video soon.